Well, hello there. Welcome to my series where I rank all the tier 10 ships I can find in this decade-old game. Wait, that can't be right? No way, this game is almost 10 years old. Damn, that's crazy. So anyway, if you saw my last video, I said that you should face your fears, and that's why I made that video ranking all of the submarines in the game. So that's why today I'm ranking all of the tier 10 aircraft carriers, Tech Tree plus Premium, both because why not? Our contenders are from Japan. We have the legendary Hakuryu, Premium Nightmare, that is Shinano. The United States brings in the all-round powerhouse Midway, Franklin D. Roosevelt and Essex. Then we have the British duo, Audacious and Malta. From Germany, the ruthless Manfred von Richtofen and Max Immelmann. And finally, we have the Russian Federation's finest, the Admiral Nakhimov. Each of these CVs brings a very specific flavor of pain to the match. Some prefer precision strikes with high skill rewards. Others just send infinite planes at you until your soul disconnects from your body. But we're not just judging based on damage alone. Nope, we're going to consider everything. Their AA, their concealment, speed, survivability, squadron size, attack type, usability, gimmicks, and how much emotional damage they cause to both the enemy team and your own. So here's how the ranking works. We're going with 4 tiers. S tier, also known as godlike, A tier, B tier, they're solid, good enough, and finally C tier, which I like to call utterly useless. So buckle up and pray your flak actually hits something, because we're diving into the wild skies of Tier X aircraft carriers, and this might get bumpy. Now let's talk about the absolute menace, the USS Essex. This thing is chaos with propellers, and not the ha funny chaos like a Schlieffen YOLO rushing mid at the 2-minute mark. No, this is precision chaos, factory produced bomber fueled destruction, and the craziest part, it does it all while being one of the fastest, most flexible carriers in the game right now. Like, if other CVs are like strategic chess players, Essex is just that cracked out blitz player who pre-moves 5 steps ahead and still wins with 0.2 seconds on the clock. Right out of the gate, let's talk about the strike groups. The Essex sends out massive attack squads, 4 planes carrying 2 rockets each, 4 torpedo bombers each with 2 torps. So you've got some real meaty alpha potential right there. But that's not even the highlight. The real stars of the show are the bombers. This thing launches 5 bombers at once, and each one of them drops 4 high explosive bombs, meaning you're basically playing an artillery strike simulator that comes with a complimentary smoke screen for style points. Oh yeah, the bombers also generate smoke, because why not? Let's just give them stealth tech while they flatten cruisers into recycled steel. Now here's the fun part. Unlike most carriers where you have to cry for 30 seconds waiting for your next squadron to spawn because you lost planes to some random Halland with a vengeance, Essex literally does not care. There is no squadron cooldown the way you expect from Tech Tree CVs. You launch, you attack, you lose planes, and the game just hands you another full strike group like it's Oprah handing out cars. Everyone gets planes. It's like an infinite swarm of angry bees, except the bees are carrying explosives and they don't miss. And she's fast too, not just her planes, but the ship itself. 33 knots max speed, which is no joke for a carrier, plus a rudder shift time of just 13.9 seconds, making her surprisingly nimble when you need to reposition, or when a sneaky sub tries to periscope slap you. Combine that with her AA rating of 92 out of 100, and you've got a ship that's not only pumping out constant damage, but can defend herself decently well while doing it. The concealment is 44 out of 100, which honestly isn't even bad for a ship that can hit you from 10 kilometers away with 3 different squadrons at once and disappear into the mist afterwards. And when I say mist, I mean literal smoke. Like, imagine getting bombed into next week, and when you look up to report the crime, the bombers have vanished, like they were never there. That's Essex gameplay. It doesn't matter if you're top tier or bottom tier, Essex will find a way to make an impact. And if you ever get a match where both CVs are Essex, just prepare to never breathe fresh air again. Smoke bombs, constant squadrons, torps from every direction. It's the kind of gameplay that makes you both laugh and cry depending on which side you're on. So yeah, for me, Essex is an easy S tier. She might not be the most tactical or the most complicated, but she is undeniably one of the most effective and oppressive carriers. She's not balanced and she's not fair, but she is fun, if you're the one playing her, of course. Now let's shift gears from America's bomber rave party to Japan's methodical strike god. This carrier feels like a samurai with a targeting computer, quietly stalking its prey, drawing the katana, and then boom, delete half an HP bar. Hakuryu has been around forever, one of the OG kings of high-tier carrier gameplay. and even now she holds up surprisingly well. Now, what sets Hakuryu apart from the rest is the way her strike squadrons function. It's not a brute force spam like Essex or Nakhimov. Hakuryu plays with precision. Her attack squadrons are these beautifully coordinated little air shows. Scary part is those torpedo bombers. Just 2 planes per strike, but each one carries 2 high damage torp, and the drop pattern is so tight and consistent that if you mess up dodging even a little bit, you're eating both torps and probably flooding. And if that wasn't enough pressure, Hakuryu's torps also reload fairly quickly between squad launches, meaning you're constantly sending them out like a conveyor belt of pain. Then we've got the dive bombers, which are classic Japanese style. Up and over, the planes go high into the sky and then yeet themselves down vertically with armor-piercing bombs that can absolutely annihilate cruisers and battleships. Like, it's kind of beautiful watching these things fall from the heavens and just slap 20k damage on some poor Henry who thought he was safe behind an island. It's like divine punishment for overextending. And if you're wondering whether you can citadel something with these bombs, yes you can. Now, Hakuryu isn't exactly invincible. She does have her weaknesses. While her AA is technically 94, which sounds cracked, her airplane durability is nothing special. If you misjudge your path or go into an AA death bubble like Minotaur or Halland, you will lose planes fast. You don't get infinite squadrons raining from the heavens. So you've got to be smart. Pick your target. Think a step ahead. Strike where the enemy is weak. Hakuryu rewards players who plan and punish those who YOLO. Maneuverability-wise, she's sitting at a nice 34.5 knots, which is solid. Not the fastest, but fast enough to reposition or kite if needed. Rudder shift time is a little sluggish at 17.1 seconds. So don't expect to pull fast dodges if someone spots you and tries to send shells your way. And her concealment is 34 out of 100, which is fine. You're not invisible, but you're not floating around in Times Square either. Just try not to wander too close to the action, or you'll find out how fast a carrier can turn into an ocean barbecue. Overall though, Hakuryu earns her A-tier ranking because of her strong, reliable alpha strike potential, her clean mechanics, and the sheer versatility of her loadouts. She might not have the unlimited spam or smoke gimmicks of some newer carriers, but she doesn't need them. Hakuryu is still very much a threat in the right hands. She's the classic, the veteran, and when played smartly, she can dictate the flow of battle with surgical strikes and well-timed punishment. She's not busted, she's not flashy, but she's powerful. And that's enough. Now it's time to talk about the German precision striker himself, Manfred von Richtofen, the carrier that sounds like it should be leading a Luftwaffe raid in 1944, not doing flybys in 2025 meta. This is the kind of ship that looks intimidating in the port, feels intimidating when it launches planes, and then when you actually play it, you realize that maybe looks can be deceiving, because Richtofen has got style and some very specific tools, but only if you know how to use them. Or more accurately, if your enemies are kind enough to sail in straight lines and show broadsides. Otherwise, you're going to be working really hard for those kills. Let's start with the squad composition. Because unlike the chaotic spam you get from Nakhimov or Essex, Richtofen keeps things simple and almost a little too conservative. You've got 3 planes per strike group across the board. Attack planes get 4 rockets per plane, which isn't bad, but these rockets are armor-piercing, so they're high risk, high reward. And most of the time, the reward is hoping the enemy gives you enough broadside, or try this on a DD, and the only thing you're going to damage is your own self-esteem. Torpedo bombers? Again, 3 planes per drop, and only 1 torp per plane, so yeah, you better aim well, because you're not getting those 2 torp per plane Hail Marys. Like, these torpedoes are fast and hard-hitting, but they've got that awkward spread and delay before arming that just screams, please dodge me. And most enemies do, unless they're parked broadside to eat lunch or typing in chat. So basically, you can do work with them. And now onto the bombers, which are easily Richtofen's most iconic squad. These AP dive bombers don't pull the classic Japan or America style climb up and then scream down. No. German engineering does it differently. These bombers fly ridiculously high and then just swoop down like angry eagles from outer space. It looks majestic, I won't lie. And when you hit those juicy citadels on a cruiser or a slow BB, it's beautiful. But again, we're talking AP bombs. So the moment someone angles even slightly, or you try this on a DD or angled Schlieffen, yeah, you're either overpenning or bouncing entirely. It's like trying to fight a boxing match while wearing ballet shoes. You might land something, but you're dancing around a lot more than doing damage. Defensively, Richtofen is actually solid. The AA rating is 94 out of 100, which is great for defending yourself from enemy CVs or repelling the occasional YOLO DD plane spotting squad. Her rudder shift is fairly responsive at 16.4 seconds, and the 36 concealment rating is right in that middle of the pack zone. She's not invisible, but she's not glowing like a lighthouse either. And the 32 knot top speed is decent, though you're not going to be outrunning anything too dangerous. Now, what really keeps Richtofen from climbing above B tier, in my opinion, is how situational her tools are. You've got all this AP focus, AP rockets, AP bombs, and yet most of your targets are angled battleships, maneuvering cruisers, or destroyers that laugh at you from behind a smokescreen. And without any gimmicks, no skip bombs, smoke bombers, no infinite recharging squads like Essex or Nakhimov. If your squadrons get wiped, you've got to play that good old-fashioned wait and hope minigame until they respawn. She goes in B tier, not because she's bad, but because she's just too limited, too inconsistent. The highs are great, but the lows, yeah, it's giving please uninstall. And now we get to Her Majesty's disappointment, the HMS Audacious. On paper, sounds like it should be doing a lot. Like, really, someone at HQ probably looked at her stat sheet and said, yeah, this looks balanced, and then never touch the game again. Because you jump into a match with Audacious, full of hope, full of dignity, like a proud tea-sipping British Admiral. And then, after about 3 minutes of gameplay, that hope turns into mild confusion, then into quiet regret, and by the end you're wondering if uninstalling the game counts as a strategic retreat. Let's go over what she brings to the party. You get attack planes with 10 rockets each, which sounds great until you realize you're mostly just tickling destroyers and making battleships mildly annoyed. It's not that they don't do damage, it's just not reliable. There's always a dispersion pattern that turns your tight-looking cluster into something that lands 1 rocket on target and 9 somewhere near the moon. Then you've got torpedo bombers, and they drop 1 torpedo per plane. Not 2, not a spread, just 1 slow British torp that sails out like it's casually commuting to work and hopes your enemy decides to park broadside. If they're even slightly turning or have half a brain cell's worth of map awareness, you're not hitting anything. And if you do hit, congrats. You did like, what, 7k damage after 40 seconds of setup? And then come the cruise bombers, which honestly are probably her best tool, but again, you're dropping 4 bombs per plane. And even that somehow manages to feel underwhelming. The dispersion just can't seem to make up its mind. You can line it up perfectly, feel like you've nailed the drop, and then half your payload just skips politely off the enemy hull like it's avoiding confrontation. Super British of them, really. Her AA defense is sitting at 82, which is fine. It's enough to scare off a lazy Hakuryu, or maybe nibble a few planes off a Midway strike squad, but don't expect to defend yourself like Roosevelt or Malta. And speaking of movement, she tops out at 32 knots, which is decent, and her rudder shift time is 15.7 seconds, so at least she's not completely glued to the ocean floor. Concealment's okay too, meaning people can kind of ignore you unless they really want to hunt you down. But here's the kicker. There's no gimmick, no skip bombs, no giant tanky planes, no crazy squad recharge mechanics, no smoke screens, no wild consumables, just plain, middle-of-the-road British aircraft with middle-of-the-road tools and middle-of-the-road results. She's not exciting, she's not dangerous, she's like the side salad of CVs there, because the game says it has to be, but no one's ever ordering it on purpose. So yeah, I'm putting Audacious in the C tier. Not because she's broken, not because she's a bugged mess, but because in a lobby full of powerhouses like Essex, Nakhimov, or Shinano, this poor Royal Navy CV just can't keep up. She's the definition of meh. And in a game this competitive, meh might as well be useless. Alright, let's talk about the FD Roosevelt, or as I like to call her, the Flying Brick of Freedom, because this carrier doesn't send planes to the enemy. It deploys battalions. Each squadron is so large, you start wondering if you accidentally launched a National Air Force instead of a CV strike group. You've got 26 rockets per attack run, 4 torpedoes per plane, and 4 bombs per bomber. And yet, somehow, despite all that firepower, this ship still manages to be more bark than bite half the time. It's like showing up to a knife fight with a bazooka, but forgetting to actually load it. The whole Roosevelt experience is built around these giant squadrons that feel tankier than actual cruisers. Like, I've had enemy Hallons and Minotaurs throw everything at them and still fail to knock out the full wave before impact. These planes are Arctic. They're flying tanks. The only downside? Well, the plane relaunch time is about 45 seconds, which means if you mess up a strike or send them into a death AA blob, you basically become a floating museum for the next minute and a half. It's the CV version of a 3-minute cooldown ultimate. You only get so many mistakes, and when you screw it up, you're forced to sit back and think about what you've done. And let's not pretend she's agile either. I mean, rudder shift time is 17.3 seconds, which is basically a full shower and snack break before she even starts turning. I could go make a sandwich and come back before she dodges a torp. You're not repositioning this thing unless you're clairvoyant or just plain lucky. So at least if someone does get close, your flak clouds might convince them to back off. And with 31 concealment, you're not exactly screaming stealth mode engage, but you're also not glowing like a lighthouse either. Just kind of there, chilling on the radar like a parked blimp. Now the real debate with Roosevelt is performance versus patience. If you know what you're doing, if you're that Zen master kind of player who calculates flight paths like you're playing 4D chess, then sure, she can slap, you can delete half a cruiser with one strike and laugh as your planes casually shrug off flak. But if you're an aggressive player who likes to push tempo and apply pressure constantly, this carrier is going to test your sanity. It's like driving a monster truck through a Formula 1 track. Powerful? Yes. Fast? Absolutely not. And you're always just one bad drop away from watching a full squadron melt while waiting a whole minute to try again. So yeah, I give Roosevelt the B tier. Not because she's weak, she's absolutely not, but because in today's game, tempo matters. And Roosevelt often feels like she's playing her own game on a 45-second delay. She hits hard, but only when she gets the time and space to do it. And in a lobby full of nimble, aggressive CVs like Essex and Nakhimov, that just doesn't cut it consistently. Alright, time to talk about Max Immelmann, the German CV that looks like it's skipped leg day but went all in on chaos and style points. This thing doesn't come at you with overwhelming alpha damage like Essex or Nakhimov, but it's got something way more annoying: skip bombers that bounce harder than your rent payment after you forgot it was due. You get 3 skip bombers per wave, each dropping a high explosive bouncing bomb, and the way they slap cruisers and lightly armored battleships is just so satisfying. It's like skipping stones across a lake, except the lake is on fire and the stones explode. Her torpedo bombers, yeah, they only carry 1 torpedo per plane, but the delivery is clean and reliable. And more importantly, you're not just yeeting them into an AA wall to pray for damage. They feel deliberate. This whole carrier feels like it was made for someone who wants to be smart, sneaky, and still blow things up without flying into every single flak bubble like a deranged pigeon. The AA defense is sitting at 83, which isn't meta-defining but gets the job done. Her 32 knot top speed is decent. Not exactly Ferrari tier, but she's not crueling either. And the 16.4 second rudder shift means if you get spotted, you better start turning 5 minutes in advance or you're about to eat a full spread of torque. Her 36 concealment is average too, so don't expect any ninja shenanigans, but it's manageable if you're staying back like a responsible CV player, which you won't, let's be honest. Now, Max Immelmann doesn't give you endless waves or monster alpha strikes, but what she gives you is control, reliability, and that German engineering touch that makes you feel like every run was worth it. She's not spammy, she's not reckless, she's surgical. And if you like playing smart while also watching skip bombs ruin someone's day with fireworks, she's your girl. That's why I give Max Immelmann an A tier. Not quite broken, not quite busted, but in the right hands, she's a headache machine, and that's more than enough to earn her a top spot just below the gods. Admiral Nakhimov, or as I like to call her, the free damage dispenser. If you've ever wondered what it feels like to play a carrier that literally doesn't care if every single one of its planes explodes in midair, then congratulations, this one's for you. Because Nakhimov doesn't use traditional squadrons. Nope. Her planes work like missile strikes on a cooldown. You call them, send them in, and they just reappear again and again like an unskippable YouTube ad with no mercy. Let's break this down. 8 attack planes, each with 2 rockets, and they're not weak span rockets either. They hurt. 6 torpedo bombers, each dropping 1 torp. And again, if you're good with lead and you target clumsy ships, you're gonna rack up chunky damage numbers before they even realize what's happening. And then the most annoying weapon of all, bouncing bombs. These things defy physics and logic, and half half the time you're not even sure how they landed, but somehow they're already chunking your citadel. There's no escape. You dodge one, the next group is already on the way, and at 31 knots, she's not fast, but she's not lagging either. The 17.1 second rudder shift is a bit clunky, so you won't be dodging much if someone actually manages to find you, but then again, your 32 concealment rating means you're probably parked behind an island where your planes do all the dirty work. And the worst part? The planes just don't stop coming. Unlike every other CV, there's no long reload, just constant pressure and infinite squadrons raining terror across the map. Let's not sugarcoat this. Nakhimov is an absolute monster. She's the closest thing this game has to a cheat code. S tier. No discussion, no argument. She's a war crime in premium paint. Ah yes, the USS Midway. She's not the flashiest, not the most broken, not the fastest, but she's got that classic I've been here since beta energy that somehow still holds up even in the age of missile spam carriers like Nakhimov and Essex. If you're one of those players who like a carrier that does everything well without relying on gimmicks or cheese tactics, Midway's your girl. Her attack planes come in squads of 3, each plane packing 10 rockets, and while they're not nuclear warheads, if you line them up properly, cruisers and destroyers are going to feel every pixel of that spread. The HE bombers, though, are the secret sauce here. 3 planes, each with 2 high explosive bombs, and they hurt. They start fires, chunk health, and just bring general misery to anything slow, broadside, or otherwise unaware of their surroundings. And best of all, the Midway lets you cycle through these squadrons with decent uptime, unlike FDR, who takes a lunch break every time you lose a plane. Now, defensively, with a 33 knot top speed and 18.2 second rudder shift, you're maneuverable enough to kite, reposition, or just keep your distance without feeling like a floating brick. The 31 concealment rating isn't anything special, but who cares? You're not trying to sneak up on anyone anyway. Midway is just solid. She doesn't need gimmicks, doesn't care about bouncing bombs or infinite spam. She gets the job done, delivers consistent damage, has a plane lineup that actually makes sense, and she's tanky enough to survive late game if you play smart. She's like that old reliable toolbox. Everything's right where it should be. A tier with no hesitation. She's not broken. She's not useless. She's just consistent. Let's talk about HMS Malta, and let me just say, this one's got some real main character syndrome but doesn't always deliver on the performance. On paper, it sounds like you're about to take flight with the crown jewel of the Royal Navy, 3 plane attack squads with 10 rockets per plane, 3 torpedo bombers, each dropping 1 torp, and cruise bombers launching 3 HE bombs per plane, which sounds like a lot of spicy alpha damage, but in practice, it's more like a lukewarm cup of tea, very British, a little underwhelming, and not nearly as deadly as you'd hope. Top speed is 33.6 knots, so yes, she's got legs and can reposition better than a few others in this tier, and the 16.9 second rudder shift is actually one of the better stats in her class, giving you just enough wiggle room to dodge pre-drops. The concealment rating of 33/100 is fine, again nothing crazy, but Malta was never meant to be stealthy or sneaky. It's a very in-your-face kind of carrier, just not one that always punches as hard as its visuals suggest. You'll feel the power spike here and there, especially when you land a clean bomb drop on a cruiser or catch a destroyer off guard with torps. But unlike Essex or Nakhimov, she lacks that brute force consistency or the chaos factor that lets you carry hard. She's elegant, stylish, and offers a full British air show, but when push comes to shove, Malta is more like a supporting actress in a carrier meta dominated by absolute scene stealers. She'll get the job done, sure, but she's not the one dropping nukes or carrying solo games every match. Solid B tier, and that's me being nice, because she's a good ship, just not a standout one. Now let's talk about the biggest curveball in this entire carrier tier list, IJN Shinano. And no, I'm not joking when I say this might just be the best TV in the game right now. I know, it sounds insane because when you first look at her stats, nothing screams S tier. In fact, 27 knots max speed and 18.7 second rudder shift sounds more like a battleship with aviation hobbies than a modern fleet carrier. But then you start playing her and suddenly your brain goes, wait, why is this working? Shinano doesn't win because she's fast or because she's stealthy. Because let's be real, 36 concealment means destroyers will spot you from Saturn, but none of that even matters when you realize what she actually does. This carrier plays on pure tactical freedom. She brings in 3 torpedo bombers, each with 1 torp, 3 skip bombers with 1 bouncing bomb, and the real kicker, 6 full bombers, each carrying 1 bomb, and oh yeah, those bombers come with smoke generators. So not only are you attacking with 6 planes, but they're also dropping smoke behind them as they go, turning every approach into a tactical smokescreen party. You're not just striking ships, you're blinding enemy flak, shielding your teammates, and confusing literally everyone on the map. Shinano isn't about overwhelming damage in a single alpha strike like Nakhimov, and she's not about infinite waves like Essex. She's a battlefield controller. You zone out entire areas with smoke, you keep enemy AA ships constantly guessing, and when played smart, she lets you support the team in ways no other carrier really can. And if you actually know what you're doing with positioning, the lack of speed doesn't matter. You're not sprinting around the map like a headless chicken. You're dictating the pace and direction of every major push, 1 smoke clue and 1 strike at a time. But the payoff is absolutely there. Shinano is a masterclass in disruption, pressure, and outplaying the enemy over time. If Nakhimov is a sledgehammer and Essex is a machine gun, Shinano is the scalpel, cutting precisely and methodically, making players question why the map suddenly feels so chaotic. So yeah, I don't say this lightly, but Shinano is 100% S tier, and if you can handle the learning curve, she's arguably the best CV in the game right now. And there you have it, the final holy gospel written in dive bomb craters and smoke clouds, sealed with torpedoes and questionable matchmaking decisions. Anyway, if you made it this far into the video, you're either a true carrier main or you're researching which floating airport to regret unlocking next, and I respect both decisions equally. If you disagree with the list, that's totally fine. Just make sure to leave a comment down below and start a tier war in the replies, because I love reading angry essays about how someone solo killed a Montana with Audacious once and now thinks she's S tier. That's it from me. Like the video if you learned something, sub if you want more ship tier chaos, and I'll see you all next time. Probably getting flak blasted out of the sky because I forgot to press F again. Peace.